Good afternoon. I am one of those poor analysts you heard a lot about earlier. Well, welcome to this session. I'm going to tell you all about what is a really bland title. You would think something as important as creating a great customer experience would get a better title on a presentation, but I got saddled with this one. But interestingly, in the keynote yesterday, Peter Sondergaard actually came up with what I think would have been a much better title for this. And what he said was, customer experience is the new battleground for competitive differentiation. And not only would have that been much more exciting than, yeah, it is a winning strategy, but that sounds like it has so much more gravitas. And it does. And by the way, just to make sure that we're all on the same page, when I'm talking about customer experience, I don't mean UI. So just so we're all in check. What I mean is the experience that you provide to your prospects and to your customers throughout their buying cycle and the customer life cycle as they hopefully purchase and own and use and gain value from the products and services that you offer. And that customer experience is going to be the way that you explain to them how and when they're going to get value from what they purchase. And obviously, that's incredibly important. Now, as you heard before, and as I'm sure you all know, since you are all product and service providers, products and services do matter. They're the core of what you're trying to sell people and gain revenue from. But they're not the only focus, obviously, of your investments, and they're not the first things that your customers and prospects end up seeing. How many people have said the phrase, and I heard this 3 times today, out of the 8 meetings I had, I heard it 3 times, when we get engineering in front of the customer, we win. Okay, but how many deals are you not getting into because your customers don't know why you're different, why you're better, why you're faster, how they get to value with you that much more easily and better than the competition, and so head scratching. And just so you don't feel alone, this is not a problem that only the SMB community has. I had lunch with what we'll call a major cloud services provider who said exactly the same thing. We have built in the best features, the speeds, the feeds, it's wonderful. We have engineers, till next week that have built amazing features. And when we get the engineers in, we win. But we're not, unfortunately, not only are they not getting into enough of the right sales situations, but they haven't built the right amount of trust with their prospects and with their customers. You'll hear from Hank a lot about the importance of building trust with your prospects and with your customers. But customer experience is that first step on the road to building trust. Not just with your prospects, not just with the people that are going through the buying cycle, but over time with your customers as they gain value and as they receive and derive value from your products and services. You'll hear later on that customer experience is the lens through which you should consider go-to-market. And I'll describe elements of customer experience as well, but you can think of it as a lens, as a way to wrap together a lot of the aspects that you need to be investing in relative to go-to-market, whether it's positioning and messaging and differentiation, in particular differentiation, as we've said before, and I'll walk through. This presentation is rife with data and statistics. And what you're looking at are the results of the survey among your peers. It's actually a survey that we did across the provider spectrum, both for larger providers and for the SMB provider community. These results are from your peers, so they echo the small and mid-sized provider community. And as you read on the last slide, innovation, or it's not just about product and service. In fact, innovation from the perspective of CEOs of peer companies to yours is about new ways of engaging customers, or at least among the top 3 responses they gave, engaging with customers was where they think they need to spend and where they need to innovate. In fact, 59% of the respondents said that. And they're going to continue to invest in that sort of innovation. Why is that? Your customers are not getting more stupid. Your customers are getting smarter. Again, Hank will talk, I say again, I'm referencing Hank, again, he will be talking about what's going on in the buyer community. Within the go-to-market arena, we do a lot of research into what it is buyers are doing, how they think, how they need to and want to interact with you, and how you build trust. And they're getting smarter. They are as you heard in the keynote, digital to the core. Right? And for digital to the core, for them, that means they're much more well-informed, they have more access to information. In terms of your competition, they're not getting any more stupid either. The barriers to entry are much lower than they ever have been. And so innovation in terms of customer experience and communicating to the customer has to be a place where you continue to invest, and that's what we find in the data. Digital to the core has meaning for you guys as well. And when we ask, so what does it mean? What does digital business mean to you? If I go back, and I'll date myself back to the e-business years, I know I'm only 23, but I've been doing this for about 30 years. So, and my mother would have something to say about that too. But if you go back to the heyday of e-business, the two main pillars were drive revenue, save money. And what we see here in the results, again, among your peers, is that it's the revenue generation that is what makes digital so important. And you look at the top three answers: generating more revenue and customer value, crossing industry boundaries. Can I do more business across different verticals? I'll talk more about verticality and why that's important. And creating completely new markets. So the focus on driving revenue is huge in terms of how digital is thought of among your peers. What does that mean in terms of go-to-market? So making it concrete, and we are trying to give you some things to walk away with that you can do when you get home and have conversations with us about going forward. So in terms of go-to-market, being digital means a variety of things, and you see in blue there the top three. So adopting new sales methodologies and practices, making changes to solution delivery, and becoming more industry focused. Every one of those is a key component of creating a great customer experience. I mentioned verticality before. Even if you have the most horizontal product, your prospects and customers need to understand what that means in terms of business value to them. They need to get an experience that explains to them, in my world, either for myself or for my customers, what value are you going to drive for me, and how do I get there quickly? That's customer experience. If you look at solution delivery, many of you are probably already or are considering becoming marketplace participants, either as partners or ISVs, with Microsoft, Google, AWS, IBM, et cetera, et cetera. And solution delivery through that channel is incredibly important for a whole variety of reasons that I don't need to get into, but making sure that your customers can see through that marketplace the value that you're providing is huge. And making it easier for your customers to get to that point early is also important. And what that means in those instances is how able is that larger provider to help you with lead management, with marketing, and getting your message through their channel so that your customers ultimately can gain an understanding of how they get value. So, is this stuff real? What are your peers saying about it? So we asked the CEOs in the survey if they believe that making adjustments based on the increased intelligence and digital nature of their customers made a difference. And 62% in this survey said it did. It made a big difference. Interestingly, a much larger percentage, 77%, say, and this is going to make, the way that we adjust is going to make a difference over the next 2 years as well. So things aren't going to get any easier. Customers are going to continue to have information at their fingertips. There are going to be more competitors that you have to deal with. And so the CEOs absolutely believe that this sort of effort and these sort of investments are going to pay off, not just now, but into the future as well. Where does it make a difference? We asked with respect to, I think it's 7, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 different KPIs. I had to think for a minute. Where have your adjustments based on this sort of a world made a difference? And I'll do the math for you. In every one of them except one loss ratio, there was a definitive, yep, the adjustments we made have made a positive difference in each of these KPIs. And even with respect to one loss ratio, it's only 1 percentage point different. So pretty much in every major measure that a CEO looks at in terms of how they're doing, are we selling, are we generating revenue, and so on, are we selling more and more quickly, are we renewing people, every one of those KPIs, they believe that adjusting and investing with respect to customer experience and go-to-market has a positive effect on their business. So we asked a further question. Even if you say, hey, it's 1% off on one loss, but if you talk to the people that said, yes, we think that there is a positive impact on one loss ratio, an overwhelming number, and something like 200 out of the 200 plus that were surveyed said that we've seen a marked positive impact on one loss ratio based on customer experience investments that we made. That's pretty significant. And that's a firm belief by your peers that investments of this nature make a difference and are going to continue to do so going forward. But as CEOs are wont to do, they want to continue to improve. And when asked what areas are going to need continued work and a continued improvement, maybe no surprise, you see the order here, sales, marketing, and product development. What I think is at least a little bit interesting, I'll tell you that for your community of peers, the SMB providers, product development was one tick higher up here. It was third instead of actually